All right, I'm here with Dani Johnson, who has just recently been featured on Secret Millionaire, but that's nothing compared to all the other great works you've been doing. You're an author, motivational speaker, and what else?
Well, I'm an author. I've been a speaker for the last 22 years. I'm a mother of 5. I have 3 grandchildren, and we own 5 companies, and everything's based around helping you increase your income, annihilate your debt, and not only earn the money that you want, to live the life that you want.
Wait a second. 22 years?
Yes.
You've been doing this since you were like 13?
Oh my gosh, you do really good math.
My
yeah,
goodness.
I was 10.
Well, I got a little bit of your backstory, and you kind of came up hard knocks. Can you give me a little bit of breakdown on that?
Yes, I can. Actually, I grew up in a violently abusive home where drugs were fully infested in the house that I grew up in. And so, I suffered everything that kind of environment brings. My father was a huge man. He was actually my stepfather. But I did not know that he was my stepfather until I turned almost 18. So anyway, there's a lot of violence. I mean, I was, thrown up against the wall, kicked across the room. I was totally spoken the most horrible words you could ever imagine speaking to a child like mom. And so there's a lot of tragedy and trauma. I was emotionally abused. I was mentally abused. I was physically abused. I was also sexually abused from the time I was 3 until I was 16 when I moved out of the house. So the environment that I grew up in obviously groomed me for failure. I was groomed to fail in relationships, all the violence in the house. I was groomed to fail emotionally. You upset with somebody with a declamant. That's pretty much the way that I was raised. And so I was also groomed to fail financially. My parents were welfare states until I was 18 years old. So, I prefer to go to work. I never wanted to do, I never tried to live a normal life. Everything was just all for violence and drugs. And so when I was 21, I made some pretty stupid choices, and one of them was meeting a guy and marrying him in 7 days, and that ended up, look at you laughing at me. I met and married him in 7 days, which was crazy, nuts, and stupid, and only to find myself a few months later living 3,000 miles away from anything that was familiar, completely homeless, with $2.03 to my name, and a $35,000 debt, fat, broke, destitute, and suicidal.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, fast forward, how did you turn it around to become the mogul that you are now?
Well, I started a business from the trunk of my car and a payphone booth. Out of desperation, honestly, Rance. It was complete desperation. I knew that the job that I had found as a cocktail waitress would never get me into an apartment inside of the next 90 days, and I was not going to be homeless for more than the month that I had already been homeless. And so 3 more months just was not an option for me. And the other thing is that there was no way that my cocktail waitressing job was ever going to pay off my $35,000 debt. Right. And so I had to do something drastic. And the year before, actually 2 years before this time, I had gotten introduced to becoming an entrepreneur. And I had invested a lot of money into going to trainings and seminars, learning how to be in business and learning how to market and learning how, to basically communicate on a very basic level. And so when I had seen other people in my past, that when I had met at some of those training seminars who became very successful, I think that kind of spurred me when I was homeless. And so when I was homeless and I needed a way to make money faster than being a cocktail waitress, I literally came up with marketing somebody else's idea and created a market for it right on the big island of Hawaii, the little town called Waikoloa, population 5,000. And I started a business just right there from the trunk of my car, a payphone booth, had nothing to start with but an idea, did so, and I made in the first 4 days $2,000 cash. In the next 45 days, I made a total of $18,000. And my very first year made $250,000. By the end of my second year, I had become a millionaire for the very first time.
Okay, what was this first business, and is it obsolete? Can I get in now?
No, I sold the company. So anyway, it really wasn't about, I found a product from a manufacturer that I actually was a customer of. Before my husband had taken off and I lost all that money, here was this product that I had purchased, and I called the manufacturer and said, hey, have you ever thought about, having an arm of distribution out this way? And they told me it was going to cost a whole lot of money, and so I just kind of went on another route, and I created a market that they could not turn away from. And so I left them no other option but to say, I think you might want to open an office there. And so eventually I wound up opening up an office, and then I started my second company by April. Within 90 days, I had started my second company, which was a training and development company. That company is still alive today.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're a go-getter. I mean, once you decided to take on this whole new attitude, you've taken it, run with it, and now you're sharing it with the world.
You know what, Rance? Growing up, I was not a go-getter at all. If there was any place I was a go-getter, it was on the basketball court, and maybe you and I can hook up sometime and hoop some up.
What's up?
But my point was that I wasn't aggressive in school. I was a full-on learner in school. Newsflash: Dani Johnson was not the prom queen. Was never picked for any kind of student body. Nothing. I wasn't that kind of an aggressive or go-getter type person. But Rance, when you're homeless, you have some decisions to make.
Mm-hmm.
When you're suffering financially, when you have a debt that is tormenting you night and day, when everything in your whole life has fallen apart and you are emotionally a train wreck and your finances are in the pit, you have to do something. And so it was either die or step up. And I made the choice to step up. And Rance, honestly, I have worked with tens of thousands of people from around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen what is inside the human spirit. And all it takes is a decision, number one, and number two, the right kind of training and development that helps somebody to either start a business or to grow in their current profession. Just like, for example, I had a young man that had just come back from Iraq. You and I both know, Rance, a lot of guys are coming back from Iraq not doing so hot.
Right.
But this young man, Ryan, he actually found himself nearly declaring bankruptcy, couldn't find a job, borrowing rent money from his mother after he finished in Iraq. It's just not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
He came across our website, DaniJohnson.com, and he started feeding off of the free materials that we give. Just like 2 days ago, I did a free consultation for more than 1,000 people, all on the phone at the same time, listening in on some very strategic techniques for finances as well as for business and relationships. Well, he took advantage of a lot of that free stuff on the website. Again, that site is DaniJohnson.com. That's one N and an I. You are going to be floored, Rance, when you hear what's happened to Ryan. Ryan learned from these strategies, the same strategies that helped me get out of being homeless. He was able to interview and land a job in 5 minutes against 1,000 other people in Los Angeles, a job he was not qualified for. He was hired at $38,000 a year. He never made $38,000. He increased his skill set through our training seminars, and he made $110,000 his first year in a job he had no experience in. They started him his second year with an $18,000 raise. He's also learned how to pay off $40,000 worth of debt. He's in his mid-20s, no longer a financial failure, no longer a failure in terms of jobless, about to be homeless. This young man, I'm telling you, he is helping other people who are in need. He is an example for others that are in the military. He is an example for the rest of America who are crying because they cannot find a job, and because he learned how to raise his skills, he's not only landed a job, he's making 6 figures, Rance. That's insane in today's economy. It is.
It really is. Mm-hmm. So, give me, I know everybody can come to your site, but just for my benefit, what's like one of the first easy steps that you can give to anybody trying to make a move?
The first thing you have to do is make a decision and not stay the same, because indecision leads to confusion. Confusion leads to procrastination. Procrastination leads to fear, and fear equals no results. You will stay the same if you stay on that path. So one of the first things you must do is make a decision. Rance, I have a question for you. What do you want? When I ask that question to 98% of the population, they haven't got a clue. What do you want? But yet 98% of the population will complain about what they have. They don't know what they want. So nothing becomes dynamic until it becomes specific. So you've got to make a decision. For me, the decision was, I don't want to be broke anymore.
Right.
For Stacy O'Quinn, who came back from the military making $25,000 a year, he grew up in poverty. He didn't want to raise his kids in poverty. He made a decision to go into business. As he went into business, he had no experience at all. I mean, come on, he was in the Air Force. What does the Air Force teach you in being a businessman? Nothing. So he made investments in his skill. And that's the best thing that any of us can do. Make a decision and make an investment in your skill, because your skill is what you get paid for. You get paid according to your skill level. Do you know, Rance, what happened to Stacy? A rookie entrepreneur, no business experience. He made over $100,000 his very first year in business. It has been 5 years. These are no less than $100,000 a year, even in this horrifying economy. And why? Because he possesses a skill that his competitors do not possess. That's the bottom line.